Hello everybody, welcome back to Mining Modern. I'm Corbin Hosler, as always with CoolStuffInc, and this is Neobrand. That's right, we're joining the dark side a little bit today, playing this crazy combo deck. It's been around ever since Neoform basically was printed in War of the Spark, but it's been picking up a little bit of steam recently in the format, so hey, I figured this is as good of a time as any to give it a shot. So how does this wonky combo deck work? The goal? Get an Allosaurus Rider into play. It's a big creature. It's a 7/7. However, you can play it by exiling 2 green cards from your hand. The only reason we would do that is to get the 7-mana creature into play earlier. Then we can use Neoform or Eldritch Evolution. Both of those allow us to sacrifice a creature to go get one from our library, put it directly into play. That creature will always be a Griselbrand. Griselbrand, flying, lifelink, pay 7 life, draw 7 cards. This card been powering combo decks like this ever since it was printed, and this is no different. We're going to get our Griselbrand into play. We're going to start drawing cards. And in order to afford to draw those cards, to have life, we're going to use Nourishing Shoal. We're going to exile cards with big converted mana costs to give us life to keep digging. That's where the Autochthon Wurms come in here. Whatever, the 15 cost creature that gave you 15 life. That's pretty good. So we also have big things like Chancellor of the Tangle, which, by the way, also ramps you on your opening hand, so you can use that to do crazy things like play your Allosaurus Rider on turn 1, immediately go get your combo piece and win. You'll see that the rest of the deck does that too. The Summoner's Pact goes and gets the pieces we need. Simian Spirit Guide is fast mana. The Manamorphose is a freebie to get through the deck. The Serum Visions and the Edge of Autumn, these cards are just kind of generic cards that can cycle for you, including the Street Wraith. And in the end, we're going to draw through the entire deck. We're doing with this Laboratory Maniac here. Now, also have a couple Veil of Summers. This protects us from removal or counter spells, and a Wild Cantor here, because you do sometimes, of course, need to be able to turn your red or green or whatever colors are in your pool with your Manamorphose and so on, your Simian Spirit Guides. You need to turn that into Laboratory Maniac mana. So that's the plan. It's a wild combo deck. The sideboard here basically just exists to protect the combo pack for counterspells. Dissenter's Deliverance for this card we can't beat, called Grafdigger's Cage. Leyline of Sanctity where you want it. Slaughter Pact when you need another piece of removal. Another Veil, and of course, the old Hope of Ghirapur. You can sacrifice it, keep your opponents from casting spells. Everybody, that is the deck. It is Neoform in Modern. Been making a little bit of a resurgence lately, and I don't know that I've ever, maybe in the early days, I played it on Mighty Modern, but I haven't touched this deck in a very long time. I'm excited to see what it looks like these days. I'm excited to see what it looks like these days, everybody. Thanks for watching. Let's jump on into the games. Hey, everybody. Here we go with Neobrand. And I have to say, I don't know what to expect from this deck, but I think this is a pretty good one right here. We're going to perform the opening hand action of revealing the Chancellor of the Tangle. That means we're going to have 1 green mana to work with in our first main phase here. I gotta say, I think we just have it. Let's see what our opponent's up to here. Nothing, huh? Well, probably good for us, I gotta say. So let's draw for the turn here. Now we're gonna get the 1 green mana here from our Chancellor of the Tangle. I'm then going to immediately cast this Summoner's Pact. I'm going to go get a Allosaurus Rider. I cast the Allosaurus Rider by exiling the Chancellor of the Tangle, as well as, I guess, probably the other Summoner's Pact here. Here it is, turn 1, we have an Allosaurus Rider. Here it is, turn 1, we have a Neoform to sacrifice that Allosaurus Rider. And everybody, you're not playing Legacy, I promise. It's a turn 1 Griselbrand in Modern. Not bad, right? Let's start drawing some cards. Now, of course, I was going to say it's possible we could whiff. Clearly, we're not whiffing right now. This looks pretty good to me. I got to figure out how to actually combo here. But all right, let's go ahead and exile with this giant worm. Gain 15 life. Go ahead, draw some more here. All right. Well, now what do we need to do? Gain some more life, I guess. Got to do all this scrolling, huh? Well, I'll tell you, getting to the combo, a lot easier than actually comboing with this deck. A little bit of work you have to do here, huh? You can cycle this. Since our opponent doesn't speed lava access here. Alright, so I guess we want to... I was looking for another worm. So I can use the Summoner's Pact to go get the worm. Then I can scroll myself back over here very slowly to cast a Nourishing Shoal. Nourishing Shoal. Exiling the worm we just got. Going back up to 20 life. Alright, paying some more life here. Start exiling these spirit guides. We're almost there. Alright, there's our 3 red mana. Now we're going to turn that to some different colors. Oh, let's see, did we find the did we actually find the Laboratory Maniac? Because we're still in our deck here. I guess we can just start by casting this. Alright, so did we find the Lab Man? Search on through here. There it is. I suppose, do I have the other Simian Spirit Guide? I don't know what we would be playing around. I guess, I mean, my opponent can't even Fatal Push this, but if I can have a green mana in my pool, I probably should, right? This is being a little ridiculously overcautious, but let's see if we found that spirit guide now. We did not. We did not. That's fine. What do we want to do here? I'm sorry, this is a hard deck. I have never, you get it, right? And then people scoop. That's the way it's supposed to work. You're not supposed to have to play this part out, but I guess here we go. Alright, did we hit the Simian Spirit Guide? We don't lose the Path of Exile. We did. Alright. No worries, everybody. We did it. Now I can use that to put into the Wild Cantor. I need to gain some more life here, don't I? Cast another Nourishing Shoal. Exile the Chancellor of the Tangle. Alright, so now we have, and now you can see how the deck, why this deck is so good, because even if our opponent was sitting on Path to Exile here and was going to try to, you know, get us, we actually could even cast this Veil of Summer and not lose to it. And if our opponent's not going to scoop to us putting the combo on the table, well, let's keep the protection in our hand. Now, also for what it's worth, we only have 2 cards in our library, and I think we have another Nourishing Shoal in here that we could use to gain some life. I'm not sure. Maybe not. Either way, doesn't matter. Here we go. We're going to put the ability on the stack, paying 7 life to draw 7, trying to win with the Laboratory Maniac in play, and that'll do it. All right. We did it, everybody. I guess welcome to Modern. Now, what the heck is our opponent going to board in against us after seeing that? I don't know. Probably some stuff we want ley lines against. That was crazy. Now, how the heck would one sideboard with this deck? I don't know. I guess we're going to find out. That's for sure. Because I do not know the answer. I will tell you that. That was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Turn 1. I don't really know. I have no clue how you're supposed to sideboard with it. What am I doing here? Not a hint of any idea how you're supposed to sideboard with Neobrand. But, I mean, that's part of the thing about these combo decks. If you pick them up, that was ridiculous, obviously, what we did there in Game 1. Let's see, in Game 2, though, your opponent's deck gets better, and your deck doesn't, right? Our deck is still we're trying to do the exact same thing, except now our opponent is going to have a lot more answers to what we're doing, and we have to try to guess what answers they have or what we're playing against. So, yes, I mean, we'll see what happens here. I cannot believe it. Turn 1, Griselbrand in Modern. Turn 4 format, that used to be the rule for this. for this format called Modern. When they created it, they said the idea was that we don't want decks that win before turn 4 consistently, and I don't know how consistent Neobrand is, but turn 1 is quite a bit before turn 4. That is for sure. So, all right, that's fine. On to game 2, though. Let's see what happens. I don't even know what you're... See, is this a keep? This hand seems fine. I guess the double Neoform is pretty bad. The Serum Visions is obviously completely fine, but... I think we probably ship this. That's what I'm thinking. We'll see what happens, but I think it's probably correct to mulligan this one. I think with the London mulligan especially, you're really supposed to be aggressive mulliganing with these type of decks. I guess this seems a little better, right? It's got lands, it's got a plan. We got to throw something back. Frankly, I may as well just throw the Summoners. I should throw the Lab Man back, although knowing that the Lab Man is on the bottom of our library is the actual bottom card could be relevant, just to know that. I think it's still correct to put it there because we should be able to manipulate our library such that we can get it when we want, but that is good to know. And now it begins. This is why we were at the ley lines in Inquisition of Kozilek. These sideboarded games, not going to be as simple. That said, I mean, we have a turn 1 Allosaurus Rider if we want it. Could that possibly be the play? I don't know. I mean, I could legit just exile the Summoner's Pact and the Druid's Deliverance. I could exile the Deliverance and the Manamorphose. I think we'd want to keep... I don't know what we want to keep. We might want to keep the Dissenter's Deliverance, actually. And the Manamorphose. Those may be the most important 2 cards to keep. That said, I don't really... They're not going to Fatal Push it, and if they path it, they path it. So, why not, I guess? And I'm going to exile the Manamorphose and the Summoner's Pact and keep the Dissenter's Deliverance here because... Look, as ridiculous as a board state as it seems to be that we're in here, it's turn 1, we have 2 cards in hand. This is actually a pretty dangerous position. We have our Allosaurus Rider in play. We're nearly immune from hand disruption. We're just trying to draw into a Neoform. But look, I could just cycle into Neoform here and we could get it done. You know, despite everything, despite our opponent having the Inquisition and all of that. Now, obviously, this is the way it goes sometimes. So you have to deal with that, but this is why you have the backup plan of the 3/3 Allosaurus Rider beatdown. Turn this into a 4/4 next turn. Can't Fatal Push a 7-drop ever, as it turns out. Revolt, not even a factor. But surely my opponent's going to start doing something here. And like I said, we are threatening 1 card away from winning, but oh my gosh, we can't ever beat that. That's a rough one. Let's see what we hit sacrificing this. Another land, huh? I think they got us not quite on the Veil of Summer there. Alright, on to game 3, where we tried to do a little better than that. Leyline of Sanctity, have to say, would have been very good there. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that. I didn't see a cage. Is this card good? Spells you control can't be countered. You and your permanents control. Well, you can use it to counter a Liliana activation. I do like that. I just don't really know what card you're supposed to cut. Like, can you cut an Allosaurus Rider from the deck? Because you have the Summoner's Pact, you have 6 copies of it. You really only want them when you combo anyways. I mean, is that a card you can cut? Can you cut Edge of Autumn? Is that something you can do? I just don't understand how in the heck you are supposed to play with this deck. I don't know. But I guess our opponent, they would have seen the Dissenter's Deliverance, so if they have cages, maybe they're thinking about that. If they have... I don't know what else they'd be looking at in their sideboard here. After seeing the way that game played out, I mean, game one, we rolled them on turn one, obviously. But then they basically beat us by playing Liliana, and we'll see if we can crack back here in game three. This is a hand. This hand makes a lot of mana on turn one. We will be shipping this one, though. It would give us, we would have 4 mana on turn one with this hand, which unfortunately is not quite enough to do anything, as it turns out. Like, cast the Chancellor, and despite having the Leyline, just not worth it, I think. Ship it. Jeez. Ship it again. I guess we keep this one. This is what you sign up for when you play this deck. Look, we might go 0-3 this week, but we won on turn one, okay? Look, that's all that matters, right? I say that. I have no idea what we're supposed to do right now. I guess so. The Chancellor on the bottom, and I guess the Simian Spirit Guide. This hand certainly digs a little bit. Couple Waterlogged Groves to cycle through. Our opponent, actually, it looks like they mulligan themselves because they're on the draw here, and yeah, they're going to be down to 5 after this. However, our Manamorphose biting the dust, and now we're doing nothing. I mean, mulligan to 5 is pretty rough. Look, you live by killing people on turn one, and frankly, sometimes you die by not killing people ever because you can't do it on turn one. I don't know. I think that said, though, I don't think we can keep any of those first 2 hands. I think we made the right decisions. Now, is our opponent going to have another one? All right, Thoughtseize it is. Probably just takes the Manamorphose again. We're not under any pressure, though, so we can, at the very least, spend a couple turns trying to put something together here. Draw a card there. All right, that's a Serum Visions. That's certainly a start. Another Nourishing Shoal, maybe not exactly what we're looking for, but a Neoform. Well, this looks pretty good to me, actually. I don't know how to undo Flame. I wanted to undo that. I thought maybe I could get the other one back. Well, I guess it is what it is. Okay, thinking this through, we might have it. I'm going to keep this on top of my library. Look, we passed the turn. Next turn, we Summoner's Pact for our Allosaurus Rider. We Nourishing Shoal, both Nourishing Shoals have to go. Oh, we're going to get Collective Brutality'd anyway. Well, it's good for our opponent that they had that, because we were actually going to put a Griselbrand into play on our turn. That's the thing that was going to happen. Now, oh. Yes, it is what it is. Our opponent's missing land drops. They have no creatures. I guess let's keep going. We now have a Neoform in hand. So it's just an Allosaurus Rider or a Summoner's Pact away from giving it another shot. Although, Liliana, going to end that real quick. This was a close one. And look, I know, our opponent's just going to go to town with this Liliana. There's nothing we're going to do about it. We're going to lose to it. But this game was actually very close. We literally were going to have our Griselbrand in play and try to go for it if our opponent hadn't had a very clutch Collective Brutality there. So good for them. You know, now this doesn't quite get the job done, unfortunately. Or does it? I can crack the Waterlogged. Wait, if I crack the Waterlogged Grove, oh, but then I don't have mana. Yep. See how good Liliana is against us? I could Summoner's Pact just to get the creature out there. Liliana makes us sacrifice it. I could actually crack the Waterlogged Grove. If we hit a green card, I could Summoner's Pact, get it out there. Still have the Neoform in my hand, but then not have the mana. We just can't beat Liliana. And the problem with doing nothing is that we just bleed cards to Liliana that way. And I don't really think I have any viable path to victory. So I think that does it. Yeah, just thinking it through. They just minus with Liliana, and then we never get to cast anything again. That'll do it. Well, GG's. It was very, very close. We weren't able to pick up the match, but I mean, look, you want to see the power of a deck in Modern. It doesn't get any better than that, everybody. Let's see if we can have a little better luck in our sideboarded games from here on out. More Neobrand, and here we go. We've got an opening hand action with the Chancellor of the Tangle. I'm not sure how deep we're going to end up going, actually, on our turn here as our opponent leads with a Spire Bluff Canal. But we're going to have some choices. And there's another Chancellor of the Tangle. I think the first play is to just cast Manamorphose, turn this into blue-green, because if we draw Neoform, we're going to win. Not a Neo... This... Oh, so unlucky, actually. It's not a Neoform. And the Chancellor of the Tangle mana disappears, but our first draw of the game was the Chancellor of the Tangle. If this had been in our opening hand and we drew anything else this turn, then we could have had the mana for the Eldritch Evolution. As it stands, we do not, but I can still cast an Allosaurus Rider. And I can cast a Serum Visions. Well, this only gives us red mana. If I had another Manamorphose, we could actually still cast the Eldritch Evolution. However, I do not. So, I actually, as a result of that, I almost have to bottom them both. I'm going to keep one. You almost have to bottom them both. Because we need another blue or green source. I will keep the one, though, because that means we just need to find the one blue or green source. We keep the one mana source we know about. Our opponent's really going to lava dart our Allosaurus Rider to death. Are you kidding me? That's annoying. Actually, it doesn't even beat us, but it is annoying. Well, I guess we just passed the turn here. Not too sure what our opponent's up to. But yeah, look, we can still Summoner's Pact and cast another one, throwing away Nourishing Shoal and a Veil of Summer. So, while that was annoying, I guess, that they were able to lava dart down our 7-drop, not the end of the world. As a matter of fact, give me a blue-green land off the tip. What in the world is this? 3/3, Flying Prowess. When there's a battlefield, scry 2. And it costs 3 less if you cost Innocent or Sorcery, which means that it costs 2 mana. You play a Manamorphose and then a Stormwing Entity? This is a turn 2 play? Okay, why not? I can use this to cycle. I think I'm supposed to. It does deprive us of a green card, but we're either going to draw land or green card, and since we're going to need those things anyways, I think it's fine to cycle this. There's a Scry Bug there. Another Simian Spirit Guide now we were looking for. There's the Botanical Sanctum, but now we actually do run into the problem of not having enough green cards here. But it's worth noting, we were not going to hit the land until our next turn anyway, so it's really all the same up until our next draw step here. Meanwhile, let's see just, I guess, how bad the damage ends up being from this Stormwing Entity. I like that our opponent is playing spells in their main phase, though. That means their spells are not counter spells. And granted, that these bolts are going to hurt. So you can play Is It Prowess, and you can play Stormwing Entity in it now. I'm kind of in. Sounds kind of fun. All kinds of Is It Prowess cards these days. Alright, deck, give me a green card. Let's just win this thing. That's a green card. I'll take it. These are not really the cards you want to be exiling to your Allosaurus Rider for what it's worth, but also for what it's worth, this game did not go according to plan. This was not an ideal way for this one to develop, but with that said, I think we're still hanging in there. We get a Griselbrand into play. Let's see what our opponent has to say about it. If we get Spell Pierced or Stubborn Denialed. Wait a minute. Oh no. Oh wow. What a broken little combo. Stubborn Denial. triggers the Stormwing Entity up to 4. I was actually going to say 4 spikes good enough, but no, we were going to get him. We had a Simian Spirit Guide. Unfortunately, they control a creature with power 4 or greater due to the Stubborn Denial triggering the Stormwing Entity, and that means we did not get there. Well, that was certainly a game. An interesting one, that's for sure. Don't really know what to expect out of him here. Give something like this a shot. Probably correct to err on the side of Allosaurus Rider over Summoner's Pact, given that you always pack for Allosaurus Rider, except in the very rare circumstances where you're getting a worm, but then you've probably drawn a lot of cards anyways. So I think it's probably correct to have more Riders than packs. Or you're just always supposed to have 8, and I'm sideboarding wrong. Really no telling. I also don't know if you're just supposed to board in Dissenter's Deliverance in the dark or not. That's a question probably in and of itself. Do you just assume that your opponents have it, or do you make them show it to you? Because, you know, it would basically come at the cost of the force of the Pact of Negations here. And I definitely need those cards, because we know our opponent's going to have counter magic. We've already seen it. So, we'll see. That was a rough game, Ed, but really, seriously, kudos to our opponent. Not only were they able to lava dart down our first attempt at an Allosaurus Rider, but then they had the stubborn denial to stop us from comboing off after that. Pretty impressive stuff. Now, of course, we have access to some Veil of Summers. We have access to some Pact of Negations. But we're going to go a little bit slower, and I guess just basically hope that that works out, because we don't know what they're going to have. We can probably expect counter spells. We can expect Force of Negations. I don't know if people still play Spell Pierce, but Spell Pierce seems like it and Stubborn Denial go pretty well in their deck. This seems like a bad matchup for us, I won't lie to you. Cheap creatures, heck, 3/3 Prowess Flyers for 2, then hold up counter magic for the rest of the game. It seems pretty okay against our combo deck. I guess this is a keep. Double Serum Visions means probably you just can't mulligan, even if it's not ideal after that. And in this case, the Wild Cantor gives us a little bit of ramp too. So we'll see if this hand can develop where we want it to be. Looks like they may be taking a mulligan down to 6 cards themselves, so that certainly hurts. We're going to lead on the Wild Cantor. That puts out an extra piece of mana for us. And then hopefully we just get some great Serum Visions on turn 2 and or turn 3 to set up a combo on turn 3 and or 4. So that's how we hope this is going to play out. We'll see what we can actually pull off here once our opponent joins the game. Okay. They've stuck around at 6. We're at 7. Let's leave with the Wild Cantor here and pass the turn. Taking a game 1 off of our deck is actually really impressive. A lot of decks just cannot interact in game 1 against this Neoform deck, and that's why it's one of the reasons why it's so powerful. So, seriously, kudos to my opponent for having multiple ways to interact in the first game there. There's an Eldritch Evolution. That's certainly a piece. And you know what? I don't think I need the Waterlogged Grove or the third Nourishing Shoal. So that actually means I feel pretty free to just go ahead and run this other one out here immediately. We're getting a fresh look on the scry. I'm going to bolt our Wild Cantor, huh? Well, in that case, I guess I'll have blue mana. We draw another Serum Visions. We did not. However, that is an Allosaurus Rider, though. And an Eldritch Evolution. And the ability to go for it. So, I mean, you gotta try, right? Maybe I should have put that Spirit Guide on the bottom. Thing is, I know we're going to need mana after, but I'm not sure. We'll see here. Now, our opponent sitting on counter magic again, but frankly, I don't know that I have any choice but to walk into it, unfortunately. There's just no way. They're going to have something, but... I mean, look, you don't play this deck and then not try to win the game, right? Oh my gosh, and that's the Summon to Now we cannot pay one for. Alright, GG's. GG's. Alright, we are on the play here for some more Neoform, and this one, however, is a mulligan. Don't think our deck does anything if Griselbrand's in our opening hand. Actually don't think we can play the game in that scenario. Now, what about this hand on 6? I throw back an Allosaurus Rider. I can cast an Allosaurus Rider. I'm nowhere particularly close to doing anything with this hand, though. This is a kind of a tough one. I kind of want to ship it. I won't lie. It just doesn't do anything. I cast my Allosaurus Rider on turn 1, but I only have 1 land. I guess I have a second, but this doesn't cast. I'm nowhere near actually winning the game with this. I'm shipping. Obviously, this is the way it goes with this deck. You get hands that look like this. Hey, you got to go down to 4. Just makes it more impressive when you win, right? All right, this is the 4. Throw this thing back. Throw this thing back. I guess throw this thing back, and we've got 4 cards we're going to play with. Maybe our opponent goes for a turn 1 discard or something, and we Veil of Summer to start getting some card advantage back. And they mulligan too, by the way, so it's not quite as disastrous as it might look. Although, for our combo deck that needs a bunch of particular cards to work, it may be a small disaster. Alright, no action out of them, though. And we're going to have mana, at least, to play this game. So, all of a sudden, yeah, we don't have much, but 3 lands. That allows us to cast Eldritch Evolution, which is the most expensive spell we ever plan on casting. So, that's a start for us. I'm going to go ahead and cycle my Manamorphose. There's a Neoform. So, we're getting a little bit closer here. A little bit at a time. That's a Manamorphose. I guess just past the turn back here, we're just looking for an Allosaurus Rider, but crucially, actually a way to get Allosaurus Rider into play because, you notice we only have so many cards in our hand now. Looks like our opponent may be finally getting ready to cast something of their own. Maybe, anyways. And it's a Teferi. Well, that's certainly a legal card. Well, we're going to do what we can here, which means Veil of Summer it to cycle. So, you know, with everything that just went down here, you might think this is pretty bad for us. We mulligan to 4. However, if we draw a green card, I think we might win the game. I'm not kidding. It's certainly possible a green card on top of our deck means we win. That's not quite a green card. However, throw away. Let's ship the Waterlogged Grove. Let's try again. That's a green card. And that means Summoner's Pact, cast this thing, go get the Allosaurus Rider, mulligan to 4, play the Allosaurus Rider by getting rid of these Eldritch Evolutions. Now we will cast the Neoform. We will sacrifice the Allosaurus Rider. We will put a Griselbrand into play. And we'll hope that the top 14 cards of our library are kind to us. Although, in this case, I guess it doesn't matter because our opponent has seen enough. Wow. On a mulligan to 4, we did it there. Now, it looks like we would have actually probably gotten there. The Spirit Guide casts the Wild Cantor, which gives us green mana for the Life Goes On to put us back up to 20. We would have gotten it done. Teferi, Fish Mary. All right, that didn't go where I wanted it to go. But the point is, we took down Teferi. We crushed it. As a matter of fact, now against our Jeskai opponent, I believe I would like some of these counter spells. Probably supposed to cut Chancellor with the Tangles. They're good for helping you pop off on turn 1, obviously, but they're pretty medium otherwise to, actively bad, as a matter of fact. So maybe they're the free cut here. Now, I do have to be careful. I can only cut down on the non-blue cards so much. I'm sorry, the non-green cards so much because we have to have the green cards for the Allosaurus Rider. So maybe something like this. Probably want some number of Dissenter's Deliverance in there. We'll see if we run into the dreaded Grafdigger's Cage Menace in game 2 here. There's a Pact of Negation. There's some mana. I mean, it's a 3 mana on turn 1 hand. 3 mana on turn 1, really probably not good enough. I think we ship this. I think we keep this one. And that's for sure. Throw this Autochthon Wurm thing on the bottom of our deck, I suppose. Just want to spend the first couple turns actually setting up with this hand. More so than anything else. You could be a game, and our opponent actually mulligan down here as well, but it could be a match where we actually don't just go for it right away. We actually set up in advance when we have Pact backup, when we have Veil of Summer, that sort of thing. And with that in mind, I'm actually going to lead on the Wild Cantor here instead of the Serum Visions. I have a better idea of what we're looking to draw next turn anyways. Meanwhile, the Wild Cantor, basically it's a walking Mox, right? It's a Mox that attacks. We're going to need a couple. We've got some work to do here. We need green cards for the Allosaurus Rider, and then we need a combo card with it. We do have a Pact for protection, but you know what? There's a Neoform. So we're getting close already. The beat down in while we can. And Serum Visions away here. All right, I want to see green cards. That's a red card. I mean, this is a green card in the sense that I can just exile it as a green card, which would allow me to get closer but not go for it. I think we can't really be picky, frankly. I think I just have to take all the green cards I can find to be able to cast this Allosaurus Rider. Maybe playing the Wild Cantor wasn't the best idea. It would have been a green card in our hand. We could have tried to go for it next turn. Something to keep in mind, I thought at the time the mana would be the most important thing, and it certainly could come up. We'll see. Maybe our opponent would do us a favor that's a fairy bounce it back to our hand. Meanwhile, though, Geisha Ain't Trapped, gotta say, that one's not particularly scary to me. That said, we can do nothing but pass a turn. And hope to draw a green card, I guess, before our opponent gets the beatdown going on too much here. Their visions of their own. So, Geisha Ain't Trapped is a classic blue-white attacker here. It comes in for 6 between the token and the Geist itself. So, that's a bit of a clock, and the clock does actually sort of directly impact our ability to win. So, if we just can't find green cards on top of our deck, a Wild Cantor play might be a lesson to all of you to not make the same mistakes I made. And the great part is we actually have the Pact of Negation. So, provided that we can just find a green card here, we're pretty well set up. And, ask and you shall receive. There's the green card. What misplay? Never heard of it. Let's cast an Allosaurus Rider. Now, 14 life, maybe not my favorite life total here. Might have preferred something like 15. But we'll see what we can do. Alright, is my opponent going to counter the Neoform? They're going to try to Aether Gust the Neoform. And friend, I will be Pact of Negationing that Aether Gust. Please don't have Force of Negation. No more cards with the word negation in them, please. Just the one. Just mine. That's right. And here comes the Neoform to get the Griselbrand. Oh no! They have the Force! Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Good for them. Well, that is modern, I'll tell you. You thought being tapped out meant you were safe. Not in this format. That was our opponent winning a counterspell war with only 2 mana open. Meanwhile, the lightning bolt coming down on the Wild Cantor. Okay, well, here's the thing. We're going to take 6. We're going to go to 8. I'm actually just going to cast the Simian Spirit Guide on my turn. Actually, I take that back. I'm going to fail to pay 5 mana. I'm going to lose the game. All right, GG. That was something. That was actually quite the... I'm going to give this Hope of Ghirapur in here now. That was frankly very nice on their part. Now, you saw we did almost have felt like we almost had a problem there with green cards. Our opponent's still playing lightning bolts. Maybe this Wild Cantor isn't good. Although you usually play it later when you need just to filter into blue. But I need to cut something. Maybe I just can't cut a green card. As a matter of fact, maybe maybe all 3 Force Negations is too many because I have the Veil of Summers as well. But I don't know. This is tough. Bit of a tough one here. I'm actually going to cut The Life Goes On. It is cutting a green card. I don't love that. But I think that's probably where we want to look. See what we can do here. This is a hand. And you know what? I'm in. Wild Cantor might do some work in this hand. This is a good one, I think. If land is on top of our deck, this hand's insane. If our opponent doesn't have a lightning bolt, this hand's insane. You might have guessed from the way I phrased that, there are some things that could go wrong for us here, but it looks pretty good. Next turn, we just win the match, I guess. I'm not sure, my opponent must have mulliganed a little bit into oblivion there, but the reality is they were dead. They weren't beating what we were doing here. Look at this. And they probably recognize that. I mean, the Wild Cantor, we go Allosaurus Rider, exiling Neoform, Dissenter's Deliverance. Then, oops, wow, I lost my match. All right. Well, you saw it. We had the combo there. We had all the protection in the world, and that's why you play this deck. You get to a game 3, and you could just draw an unbeatable hand. Our opponent maybe saw it coming there, but that hand wasn't going to be beaten no matter what. Either way, that was something. That was certainly a fun match, but that's not how we like to end it. Let's get into another one. Well, this is certainly an opening hand for us to look at. We have a turn 1 Allosaurus Rider. We've got mana off the Chancellors of the Tangle. We are on the play. All this hand is lacking is the combo piece. I think we have to ship it. That or I just play the Allosaurus Rider. It's not like we lose much by getting rid of the Chancellor of the Tangles. And we have the Manamorphose. I mean, that gets us 1 card deeper on the first turn even. So we have the opportunity to go for glory. So you know what? I guess we should. The nice thing is we get to know immediately if it worked or not by casting this Manamorphose. Because there's 2 green mana in our pool. Alright, well, it looks like we did not get there. Shocker, I know. Summoner's Pact isn't going to get it done. However, I guess we have a 2/2 now. Hey, you got to go for glory. If that was an Eldritch Evolution or a Neoform on top, we won the game on the spot. And otherwise, we got a 2/2 on turn 1. How good is that? Can't even be upset. Let's see what our opponent's up to here. Certainly doing themselves plenty of damage. Making our 0 mana 2/2 all the more powerful, I might add. Thoughtseize away. I guess you probably take the Pact here, but frankly, we kind of made this Thoughtseize irrelevant by going for Glory on turn 1, as you do, because whatever this Thoughtseize takes is unlikely to have a giant impact on the game. And look, I mean, realistically, we're not even in a great spot here. We don't have a card to turn our Allosaurus Rider into a Griselbrand, nor do we have the mana to play it if we did. So, yeah, I understand. I understand the greed, but you know what? That's step 1 solved right there. Now we can cast a Neoform should we find one, and we can attack for 3. Our opponent's at 8. Attacks that Death Shadow early. If they don't have a Death Shadow, maybe we'll just kill them with an Allosaurus Rider. No one expects the Allosaurus Rider beatdown. An Elf Warrior, by the way. Not a dinosaur. We're specifically referring to the warrior on top of the Allosaurus. This alternate art lightning bolt, though, going to get us. Actually, just insane hand for our opponent. Turn 2, 7/7. Yep, that's modern. Your opponent kills your creatures, attacks your hand, and has a 7/7 for 1 mana. On to game 2. Alright, well, the Veils seem pretty good here. The ley lines seem pretty nice. Give something like this a shot, maybe? I don't really know. I mean, I feel like maybe I'm kind of getting the hang of this a little bit. I can kind of see the cards that you want to take out. And look, I record a new deck on Mining Modern or Punting Pioneer every week. It can be very difficult to do a good job with sideboarding. Now, frankly, that's just the way it is. These are things that I'm not working with any guides here. I'm just looking around the internet, trying to find some cool, or in this case, sort of fringe returning decks that are making new waves. And show them off. And that means I'm not coming at it with a detailed sideboard guide. So I'm figuring it out on the fly. But you know what? This series isn't about teaching you to be the best sideboarding Magic player in the world. It's about having some fun, testing out some decks in Modern. So that's what we're going to do here. Now, this is a hand that I think that I'm going to keep. These Veil of Summers are going to do some work. This is very greedy. Is it, though? I say that. It's greedy in the sense that the Chancellor of the Tangle doesn't really do anything for us. We don't really have any turn 1 plays. We don't really have anything to do at all here. I don't even need to reveal this because I'm not going to do anything with this mana. That said, it has a Neoform. That's a piece. It's got some Nourishing Shoals. Those are help us combo. But it's got 2 Veil of Summers. Our opponent... what hand do we think we're going to have that is better set up against our opponent's deck full of Thoughtseizes and Inquisitions? Right? It doesn't matter if we have the perfect hand if they're going to take it apart. So the Veil of Summers and a hand that has some of our pieces, some of the things we need, well, you know what? That may actually be a better idea. I say that, obviously, and our opponent does nothing, so we can't even cycle our Veil of Summer there. Like I would have really liked to. Is what it is. Okay. Veil of Summer number 3, I guess. Watch our opponent just play some non-black spell. Just show me a Thoughtseize. Show me an Inquisition. Well, they're showing me a Thoughtscour, which, to be fair, I could cast Veil of Summer in response to draw. I think there might be Gurmag Angler in our future, though. Really, actually, a bit of a blowout. Our opponent not casting anything there on turn 1. There it is, though. Miss a land drop, though. It's going to make things a little harder. Wow. Wow, we just got by the Summer Denial, too. There goes our Neoform. Punished if we had that second land for that second Veil of Summer. Could have actually drawn 2 cards this turn. Completely blown out our opponent. They would have been down 2. We would have been neutral. Would have been great. Instead, we're down a combo piece and down a Veil of Summer on top of that. And now our opponent knows about the other 2. And we aren't going anywhere. This deck's, you got to be really willing to flip some coins if you sleeve up Neoform. I'll say that. We saw how powerful this deck could be, but you are also seeing the downside of it. And we don't sugarcoat it here on Mighty Modern. If the decks have problems, you're going to see them. That's what's happening here. We are just sputtering out. You play a 13-land deck, sometimes you're going to get burned. Now, if this was Arena, we could play some best of ones. Different story, right? However, it is not. And these sideboard games have been our downfall. But that is the way it goes sometimes. That's okay. Our opponent deep in the tank here. Oh, or they were just exiling cards. There's a Gurmag Angler, so we at least get to cycle one of these Veil of Summers. Yeah, Leyline of Sanctity, exactly what I wanted to draw right here. Oof. Well, we have 7. Pass the turn back, I guess. I'll tell you, we're ready to combo. We got those combo pieces ready to go. Gain 15 at the drop of a hat. The worst part of this is I can't even use my Gemstone Mine anymore. I'm going to lose it. Also, not a land. Let's gain 15. Console myself as I sit here at 30 life. Don't know how we're supposed to win this one, though. The deck did not cooperate with us here, but you know what? That's one of the reasons why I played this deck here on Mighty Modern. Because, and look, I'll tell you now, I don't have any changes to recommend at the end of this. I took a list that had 5-0'd recently. This is going to get us anyways. We may as well Veil of Summer the thing. Our opponent just going to rub it in. Just going to rub it in. Actually, I don't really blame him. Why wouldn't you at this point? GG's. Well, I'll tell you what, everybody. This deck did not work out for us. It did not run hot. But, you know, I'd seen it do well in a couple events. And you've pulled off the turn 1 win. What more could we really ask for? But you saw sort of the good and the bad of Modern. The good is that anything's possible. You can win on turn 1. The bad is that it's not always very fun for you to play against, or necessarily to play with when you're on this side of it, right? Because in exchange for all those turn 1 wins that you get like we did, you get so many more of these sideboarded games we have where we just could not string together the cards for a victory. So looking at the deck over here, I don't know what you would change. I don't know. I'm not an expert on this archetype. It looks honestly probably pretty tight to me. The Life Goes On, the Veil of Summers, those are probably your flex spots, if any, the Edge of Autumn. But this was a fun deck. This was a fun experiment. So if you feel like gambling a little bit in Modern, is today my day? Give it a shot with Neoform, everybody. I'm Corbin Hosler. Thank you so much for watching Mighty Modern. Every Thursday I have content up here on Cool Stuff. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel here. Watch my content if you enjoy it, but also check out all the other content creators here at Cool Stuff who do some really awesome work. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time.